All right, so we talked about the fact that when you split your head into 5 eyes wide, the center section should be equal to each of the sizes of your eyes. It should also be equal to the width of your nose. Now, some people's noses are wider, some people's noses are narrower, but on an average, you're looking at that space being the width of the nose. We divided the face into half, and the eyes are in the center. And then halfway down this bottom part from the eye line to the chin is where the nose is going to end. Okay, so you have a rough idea here. The nose is basically made out of 3 spheres. You have a larger sphere in the center and a smaller sphere on each side. Okay. Now, we learned how to shade spheres in 6th grade, and for that, you want to know your light source. Well, your light source on the nose most likely is the highlight's going to be in the center, so we're going to leave that in the center. So your shading on your nose is going to come from the bottom. Okay, so dark on that outside edge and lighter in the center. Well, we're not shading a whole sphere though, so we're just going to do this bottom edge. The same thing with each of the smaller spheres. You have on the sides. Now, they're not actual perfect spheres. Sometimes a nostril can be kind of oval shaped, sometimes they're flat, and then they flare up at the sides. Again, just like your eye, the nose can show your lineage, your heritage, your race, your nationality, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's unique, and we're made up of all of the people in our family that have come before us. And so you just you can look in the mirror and you can observe those shapes on your face if you want to. You can choose somebody famous and look at a picture for their nose. But again, I encourage you just to be creative and kind of come up with your own ideas on these first couple. You'll learn better by having to problem solve, I guess. So I'm not going to really make this a perfect circle. I'm going to kind of square it up a little bit and give my person more of a pointy nose. Okay, so when I do that, that's a personality that's going to come through in my portrait. I got a little dark there, so I'm going to have to lighten it up. Okay, but you want to leave that light in the middle, and you don't want to do the whole sphere. You just want to kind of leave a little bit of that. So then I have to figure out what nostril shape I want, and this is going to be dark. This is that contrast part, right? I can make a bigger nostril, I can make a smaller nostril. They don't always work out. I may end up with one that is not like my favorite nostril shape on this one. Sometimes you get what you want. Okay, I'm going to make my nostrils come out and kind of flatten and square them up just for this personality. It's just what it's kind of telling me it wants to be like. Okay, so that's more. A little bit of shadow here, I think. Okay, so then the bridge of your nose, the part that's sticking out the furthest, is going to be the lightest because we're working with form in 3D here. So your highlight's going to be here. This is out, but you're moving back into space. So as you go down towards the area in between your eyes, you're going to have a little tiny bit of shadow. And remember we talked about just putting a few lines down and then using your finger to smudge that a little bit to give that illusion that this is further away and this is closer to you. It's sticking out off the surface. Okay, same thing with the sides and the planes of the nose. Now usually you're catching a little bit more light from one side or the other. So if the light is coming more from this side, then this side might have a little bit more shadow on it, but not necessarily a dark shadow, just like a little bit. So just put a few lines on there and smudge that out. Okay, so now your nose is starting to look more three-dimensional. And the more shading you do on that, the more 3D it will look and the more contrast you get, just like when we were learning to shade our spheres. Okay, so you've got a person coming through here. This got a little bit of personality. You can put creases beside the nose if you want your person to have rounder cheeks. Okay. And underneath the nose, we have halfway between the nose and the chin, we're going to put another line. Okay, this is our mouth. Down from the center of your eyeball. Okay, this is probably the widest that the mouth would be. The mouth is going to be somewhere between the outside edge of the nose and that area. If you get your mouth too thin, again, you're going to start looking kind of cartoonish. So that will be our next video.